Yes, it's very wet. And I'm out here in Caribbean Harrogate, up in the pinewoods, heading down towards the Valley Gardens. And I think we should talk about some news on this Saturday the 6th of December. And I'm not in Leeds because it's the same old, isn't it? So I thought I would come out and talk about some news. And show you a bit of this fantastic area, public access. So I'll wander down here. Now there's every chance that I might fall over. I might fall over wandering along these muddy trails. Because I'm not wearing hiking boots or wellies. Let's get underneath this instead of splattering myself. And there's the occasional person around here. But it is rather quiet. Definitely quiet. There's a commemorative bench. In loving memory of Dorothy and Leonard Callis, who so often walked in these woods. There's another main trail here. I'll join this one. And the rain is coming down heavier and heavier and heavier. There are some non-pine trees in here, this being one of them. And I imagine that the game at 5:30 tonight, Leeds United against Liverpool, which I am really looking forward to after we beat Chelsea 3-1 on Wednesday evening. I'm guessing the pitch is going to be a bit damp. They might need 3-inch studs in there or something. Let's carry on wandering down in the downpour, in the drenching. Anyway, instead of getting my phone out and coming up with being what's the word? Being prompted by what I've written. Let's talk about Germany first. Oh. And this seems quite appropriate, actually. This memorial was erected by the ex-servicemen of Harrogate to the everlasting and glorious, what's that say? Memory of their British comrades, 1914 to something, can't read it. It's possibly one of the most hidden and yet most beautiful memorials. I wouldn't call it a cenotaph, it's a memorial. The big cenotaph is in the centre of town. This one is, I think, much more glorious. The airmen, the army, the nurses and saviour, and the military. No mention of the navy here. So Germany. Talking about war and talking about Germany. Germany has introduced a new law in the Bundestag around voluntary conscription of young adult men from the age of 18. Young men will be asked to volunteer for conscription in Germany to join their military. And it's only men, only men. The concept of equality hasn't reached Germany yet. And it's going to be windy. And in 90 cities across Germany, there have been protests against this conscription. Now, what's interesting is if you look at the people the people who are protesting are just like the same people who protest at pro-Palestine and Antifa and stand up to racism march.
We're here today because we're fighting against the military service and against war. We as a youth don't want to die in wars because of Germany.
They're saying it's voluntary, but they also announced that if there aren't enough volunteers, which there will be not, they will go back to the mandatory service. So that's why we're protesting now instead of when it's too late.
I personally do not think that military is an answer to anything. War is like always the worst thing you could even do.
I believe it's very important that we, the young people, can stand up for our interests and tell the old people that have all the powers to decide about a lot of things, that we still exist. We are the future of this nation. We are the future of the world entirely. I don't want to be part of this war machine, so I'm definitely protesting that we will not be forcefully included into the army.
The very same people. They're the geeky, nerdy, weak-looking people, the type of people that you're thinking, well, they wouldn't last long in a war anyway. They probably wouldn't do much. And maybe you wouldn't want them in your army. So there's a lot of lefties that have been complaining about this voluntary conscription. The interesting thing about the voluntary aspect is if Germany doesn't get enough people volunteering, then they will start making it mandatory after a couple of years. I would get my handkerchief out, except both my hands are taken up at the moment. I'll have to wait until I get under cover. So the extra aspect of this, let's just check that Yes, we are on. The extra aspect of this thing is, although it's all the lefties that are protesting, a lot of the people that you might actually want to be in your army, the patriotic, the strong, the ones who would gladly defend their country and see it as honourable to die for their country in such a way. Just like in the UK, the same people are very, very unlikely to volunteer. Because the volunteering as a conscript leaves you as somebody that is classed as available for use if there was ever a draft or ever a need or ever a call for reservists and the like. And these people who you would want in your army, they're the ones that are going, I'm not supporting these elites, these people who want us to go to war. They make their decisions ideologically and emotionally. They're not making it on the basis that there is a real rationale for going to war. They are just doing it for themselves. So the way to resolve that is to actually get rid of the people who are in charge and replace them with people who have the country at heart, people who are not traitors, people who are not corrupt, people who are not just looking out for themselves. So the timing's wrong, Germany. A lot of these people might prefer another country that seems to be strong and seems to have principles and seems to possibly have the traditions, seems to possibly have the cultures that may be acceptable. It may be a bit more authoritarian, but they may prefer it. Than continuing to live and not only live but defend the terrible cultures and societies that we've got at the moment. Here's another chalybeate well, number 53 on the official list. A remarkably pure water of very low salinity, similar to High Harrogate, St John's and Chewett Wells. I was up at Chewett Well the other day for you. All of which were once used to treat delicate and anemic patients. Once piped to the royal baths for aeration. The well was restored in 1999. And there's another one here. What number was that one again? 53. Is this one 52 or 54? 54. This is the magnesia well. Probably goes down to the pump rooms down at the bottom. Yes. Yes, it does. So Germany is going to have some problems. France has also announced it's going to have conscription. But the interesting thing is the amount of money. Germany is suggesting something like 2,800 euros per month for the people who volunteer for conscription. Whereas France is offering, if my memory serves me right, a bit less than 1,000 euros. Given freedom of movement, if I was French and close to the German border, I might decide to trot over to the other side and join their army as a volunteer instead. This is another pump room. The big pump rooms is down at the bottom, behind me. The rain seems to have stopped for the moment. So separately for Germany, there are reports of another law that the Bundestag has passed through. And that's about surveillance. This is about the ability of the police to be able to record everything about you. New Zealand. 23 New Zealand airmen buried in nearby Stonefall Commonwealth War Grave Cemetery. That's on the Wetherby Road by the Sainsbury's. And there's another plaque here. The Royal New Zealand Air Force has donated this Pseudopanax crassifolius var trifoliatus lancewood tree to acknowledge the 70th anniversary of the special relationship formed in 1953 between Harrogate and Wellington. Which tree is it? Is it this little bush? Or is it that tree there? Or that one? I have no idea. Not the faintest idea. Oh, this is something I've never seen. Hidden away in a little copse inside a corner of the Valley Gardens that very few people come to. I can't see a plaque for it. It sort of looks a bit Maori, doesn't it? Beautiful. So this is the New Zealand Garden, apparently. Let's see if this tells us anything about that. It looks like it's a huwenua, used by the Maori indigenous peoples to mark places of significance. Can also represent ancestors with a connection to treasure from a distant land. This one was a gift to Harrogate, and it was placed here from Wellington in 2010. I am here. That. Jennifer Tetlow created a stone pikorua, which looks like this thing here. So that's known as a pikorua. Learn something new every day. So yes, surveillance in Germany. As the rain starts again. It's been pushed as for public safety, a bit like the British Act on Online Safety. We're here to protect you. And it will be used to surveil you instead. It will be used to prevent you from having access to information from around the world that your government does not want you to have. Don't know what this little garden bit is. There's a Japanese garden just down over there. And I'm going to pop under if I can. Looks like they have blocked off this place for some reason. I don't know why they blocked this off. Must be a claim that it is private rather than open to the public. Not that it stops you from actually getting in there, but you'd have to climb over and then some asshole will come along and tell you you're not allowed to be there. I'm not convinced that anything here is anything other than tat. This looks like it offers something a bit different. Gravescape maps.
Roxy's coming Wednesday. I'm going over. She's going to give me a reflexology.
Upper Wednesday down, lower Wednesday down. These look like proper, creative, well produced, with good wood. Something there about Glencoe. I'm not sure how that fits with Yorkshire, but that's actually possibly the one place so far that seems to show something good. But it looks like the Gestapo is back in Germany, or the Stasi, or a mix between the two. Everything that our forefathers and ancestors fought against, absolutely everything they fought against, is being brought in by our own governments. I don't know what this represents, but I like it. It reminds me of that TV interview that old guy who fought in World War II, when he started nearly crying on the sofa, basically remembering about all the people who had died in World War II, and he's saying it really wasn't worth it. If this is how society has turned out, it has turned out to be exactly what we fought against. I don't know what to say next. Don't have a clue what to say next at all. And we're just heading down to the bottom of the Valley Gardens. As we get past this tree, you'll see that octagonal building. That's the Royal Pump Rooms. It's So the waters would be pumped down from behind me. All the various pumping aspects to get the spring waters and the magnesia waters down to the pump rooms. And that's where people would, and I think you can still get some of the water, but that's where the water would be available. You would pay your shilling or penny to get some water. This is the main walkway up the side of the Valley Gardens. It has a little stream running through it. It is a stunning place. It is well kept. There are some interesting characters here on an evening. I used to be one of those interesting characters. Decades ago, as a child, there's nothing else to do here in Harrogate. As a teenager, back in the 1980s, didn't have social media, didn't have internet. All you had was your friends, your bicycle, and get out and explore. And nobody liked you. Not even your parents. Your parents wanted you out of the house. Go on, go and enjoy yourself, they'd say. In other words, get out. And you'd end up in the Valley Gardens on a summer evening with your mates, possibly under a big tree like that, just chatting away, enjoying yourself and scaring the other people that go past. This looks like a winter covering for these plants, wherever these plants are from. It's very much a botanical type of garden, is this. There are flora from all over the place in here. It is a place not to miss if you come to Harrogate. I'm trying to think what else is in my news. Oh, the United States. The United States put out a new security strategy. And this security strategy talks about NATO, how NATO and Europe must stop expanding, how Europe needs to become more autonomous. But there was a very clear bit about Europe and Russia had to come together to understand each other's requirements and to ensure stability. Yes, we're different, vastly different, but we have to live alongside each other. Don't feed us bread. But one of the key mentions that was in this national security strategy document was that, let me just get past these people. One of the key things that was in this strategy document is about, in the next few decades, the European countries, or some European countries, will no longer be inhabited by Europeans. And that might introduce completely different relationships, completely different requirements from these people, And the United States had to be ready for it, and Europe had to be ready for it, and NATO had to be ready for that, because they may not have the same desires, the same alliances, the same cultures. They may be looking to other continents. They may be looking to other legal systems. Absolutely fascinating comment in there. A fascinating comment in there, all about migration, and a very clear message to Europe to get hold of it. So what we got here, this part of the Valley Gardens, there are found many of the sulphur and iron waters used in the spa treatment of the royal baths. 36 springs arise within an acre. No two springs are exactly alike in chemical composition. In no similar area in the world can such a diversity of springs be found. These facts make the Valley Gardens unique. And as we saw up at the top, here's another couple of springs. This one's number 29, it's a sulphur spring. And this one seems to have lost its label. Oh, it's got something here. Charlie Beat number, I don't know what number it says there. Haven't got a clue. It's got something here. Charlie Beat number, I don't know what number it says there. Haven't got a clue. This is interesting. This has got a light inside it, and at light it lights up, and you can read all of the words that are on this. Arc Celebris Fontibus Slingsby Alum Sulphur Victoria Harrogate welcomes the world. It looks like this is the list of all the different springs and types of springs in the Valley Gardens. So I'm going to head on back. I did have lots of other stuff, but I just can't remember it, and I don't have a spare hand to be able to do anything about it. But I am going to leave you with this video from Romania. This is a fascinating video. I want you to think about how far is it from the far edge of the roundabout to the hedge right next to the camera. How far is it? Apparently the 55-year-old started feeling unwell while he was driving. He suffered multiple injuries, but he refused to be hospitalised. We're back at the pump rooms. One of the pump rooms, the major one being down behind me. So he came to a stop. The guy came to a stop in somebody's lawn. Happily he missed the massive wall. What sort of feeling of being unwell would lead you to slamming into a roundabout? Well, you tell me what speed he was going at to actually launch the vehicle that far. Or maybe you might have some other theories around what this guy was actually doing. Back to the Future comes to mind. So with that, I'm going to call it a day. Thank you, everybody. Please like and subscribe. It helps the channel out. And I will be back at some point soon.